Hello and welcome to another episode of the Uncommon Energy Podcast. On this week's episode, it's going to be competitive focused, competitive heavy this week, as we're going to be talking about the Frankfurt and Monterrey regional championships this past weekend, go over their results. I guess we won't have to spend that much time on the winner of each, since it's the same deck. We can kind of condense our time right there, right, a little bit
Yeah.
to get through it, and then we will of course have guess that flavor text, everyone's favorite segment of the podcast, and then we're going to wrap up this week by talking about the Pittsburgh regional championships coming up this weekend, and also the Champions League happening over in Japan this weekend as well. We'll make a couple predictions, focus mostly on Pittsburgh, of course. I'm going to be there casting. Azul, I believe, is going to be doing the co-stream and all that. So be sure to check out both those things. And yeah, we'll wrap it up over on our weekly bonus episode exclusive to our YouTube channel members and our Spotify subscribers. My name is Chip Ritchie, and I'm joined here, as always, by my friend and co-host, Azul GG. What's up, Azul, buddy? How's your week been?
Pretty good. Doing a lot of streaming. Played a lot of Silk Song. I think I'm 30 hours in now. And still a ways to go. I'm only in act 2 of 3, but I don't know like how long each act is. So
Are
yeah, I've been
you,
playing
is it like, I feel like watching people play those platforming games sometimes can be like comical at times, where they
yeah.
get stuck in a spot. Yeah. Are you pretty good at those platforming games, or do you think, or is there a little bit of struggle
I'm
happening?
definitely some struggle happening. I'm like fine, I guess. I mean it's more difficult than a game like Mario, obviously. But I don't think it's like quite as hard as something like I guess I don't know. I played a little bit of Elden Ring. I don't know if it's like as hard as something as like Dark Souls or Elden Ring. I
It's
don't
got to be
think
like a
so
different
though.
type of hard, right?
Well, it's similar because it's all kind of the same. Where it's like when you like the big things are obviously the boss fights. Like you have to learn the move set and then how to dodge and when you can get into hit. So it's pretty similar, but it's 2D compared to like 3D. So there's
Sure.
like less depth to the range, the range of like where you can maneuver to and where the boss is going to maneuver, but it's pretty similar in terms of just like what you're trying to accomplish.
Your mechanics are probably kind of similar, like how you
Yeah,
push the buttons or whatever.
yeah, it's all like timing and then learning the move set and learning the timings, stuff like that. So,
Makes
but yeah,
sense.
I've never really like played too much of those. The one I played the most was Sekiro. I didn't get that far into that game either though, so I'm not sure how it compares to like the historically hard video games like the Elden Rings and stuff like that. But yeah, I've been playing a lot of that. And then also did the watch party over the weekend, the first watch party or second watch party of the season, first watch party for a regional championships with Frankfurt. So that was a ton of fun. Excited for the watch parties coming this weekend. Like you said, I'm going to be watch partying Pittsburgh Regional Championships and the Champions League over in Japan, and they'll be playing with the new mega cards as well. I think they're only streaming, unfortunately, day 2, so there'll be no stream on Friday. There'll just be a stream on Saturday. So my stream is going to be like a long stream on Saturday. I'm going to stream Pittsburgh day 1 into Champions League day 2, and then hopefully Champions League day 2 doesn't go too long, and then I can get some sleep before Pittsburgh day 2. But usually the day 2s of the Champions Leagues go pretty late to like 3-4 a.m. my time. So maybe just a couple hours before I have to wake up again for Pittsburgh. Um, but yeah, that's what I've been up to this weekend or this week. What about you, Chip? How was your week?
Yeah, my week was good. I actually went on a trip this past week with a big group of friends. We take an annual trip to get together to go cube. You've probably heard me talk about cubing before, but for anyone who doesn't know, it's basically just like drafting in the Pokemon TCG. I've got a big group of friends that were all like super, super into it, and the last couple of years we've hosted like this annual cubing weekend where we just basically get together and play a lot of Pokemon in cube, and it was a ton of fun. Getting to hang out with everyone, of course, and then play Pokemon in my favorite way to do it, which is drafting and cubing and building unique decks and stuff like that. So, yeah, I had a bunch of fun doing that. Football was on as well, and Clemson lost. Thank you to the people who tagged me over on Twitter. Yes, I was indeed beat up about it. Thank you for adding salt into the wound. But yeah, not a great week for me in the football world, but had a good time cubing though.
That's good. At least did you get any dubs in any of the cubes?
Dude, I really didn't. And it was a bad weekend for me playing Pokemon, to be honest, as well. The football was bad, the Pokemon playing was bad. Dude, I had some sick cube decks. I had one deck with Boss, Lysander, Versus Seeker, Luxray, Blaziken. Like it was so good and so consistent. And we just played, it's like a 3-round Swiss bracket is like how we did it.
Mhm.
And I bricked twice out of the 3 games, and it was just like
Nice.
devastating, dude. It was so annoying, but that's just how it goes sometimes.
Yeah, that is a
Yeah,
lot of high power cards for sure.
yeah. I felt like the deck was pretty consistent too, so it was just it was definitely a bummer to not get rolling. And I had a couple of games like that too. I had one game that literally, dude, and one of the things I love about Cube as well is no 2 games are ever the same. Because the cards are different though. I mean, no one will ever build the same deck twice. So there'll always be like wild things happening. But I literally lost a game where I set up super slow. Like I didn't do anything for like 5 turns, and my opponent opened up with Precious Trolley on the first turn, which is a one of in the cube. So he had to draft the one of Precious Trolley and then open it in his opening hand as well to going first. Precious Trolley fill the board, and I just did nothing. But anyway, and then on the last turn, I still had a chance to win the game after not setting up. But my attacker in the situation, unfortunately, was Regirock, whose attack, I'm going to pull up the card here and show it to everyone. I'll share my screen with you in a second here, Azul. Stone Edge, 40 plus. Flip a coin if heads, it does 30 more damage. And if I flipped heads, I would have won the game. If I flipped tails, I would lose the game. And I guess you can guess which one I flipped. And that was just my weekend, man. But that's what I get for relying on Stone Edge, I guess, at the end of the day, huh?
Yeah, it sounds like it might have been your own fault.
But it's all good. It was still fun, regardless of how I did and all that. But blast hanging out and cubing and looking to probably, I don't know if I'm going to get my cube ready or not for Pittsburgh. I may just bring some old decks, to be honest. It kind of seems like I haven't updated my cube in the last few sets, and I don't have all the cards, so it'd be kind of a lot to like go to the card shop and see if I can dig through the bulk boxes to find like the new Chikorita from what's it called? I guess the Mega Evolution set isn't even out officially yet, so I probably couldn't even get it. So I don't know.
Yeah. Before we got into our first topic here, normally we would have mentioned this as something coming up for players to like look out for, but it has come and gone. Las Vegas Regional
Oh yeah,
Championships
yeah.
registration happened, and um, currently the player total is at 3166, and it sold out. So I mean, they're probably. I feel like for regionals recently, there's been no like second waves. Maybe there's like going to be a second wave in terms of like I think when you like if you don't pay immediately, it goes back into the pool of like registration like availability. But when you get a refund, when you like apply for a refund or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they put it back into the pool immediately. I'm not 100% sure on that, or if they open up like a second wave eventually of just like refund people who have refunded their registration.
I think most regionals have done a second wave.
Okay, but is it just of people who have refunded, or is it like more
I think it's usually
space?
making more space is kind of what it
Okay.
is.
All right. Well, yeah, this one is at 3166, which is getting close to it potentially maybe being the biggest regional championship of all time. The biggest one I think was Atlanta last year. Henry Chow won that one with 2684. I think that's the biggest one of all time, regional championships wise. So this one might break that, and I actually think, and it would make sense. I think the biggest card game tournament of all time, because I've seen what's his name,
Chris Brown.
Chris Brown be tweeting. Has been tweeting about that. I think it was in Vegas, right? It was a Magic tournament in Vegas.
Yes.
And from what I saw from people who registered for it on Twitter, there's going to be a lot of seems like European and potentially even Australian players coming over for this one, which I'm not surprised by.
Yeah, it definitely seems like event people are trying to go out of their way to come to.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a sick one, and I think a lot of people are going to be there. So yeah, I'm looking forward to Vegas regionals as well.
Yeah, I think.
And I think I think the Las Vegas Convention Center is massive.
Yeah.
So I hope that they can figure out a way to open up more spaces. I've got to feel like this is one. I mean, this definitely based on interest and the fact that it sold out really quickly, could be the largest regionals of all time, and probably would
Yeah.
be if. But the only limiting factor at the moment is space. It seems like, or like registration spots.
Yeah, and I think with definitely like with future ones, it would definitely rival that. I think this regional could actually like rival EUIC and NAIC, and I think the only reason it maybe wouldn't surpass them would be them purposely not wanting it to be bigger than the ICs. Like that, like because I think like everything kind of lines up for it to be like a great location. Maybe they even try and move NAIC to Vegas at a future year because of that. So I'm really excited this one just in terms of like the potential it has to be such a great and big event for the community, more so than just the number. I think the number is going to go with that as well. Just going to be really big because like even like Frankfurt this last weekend or over the weekend had 2,400 players, biggest European regional of all time. I'm pretty sure by far, and that's only 200 short of the biggest one in North America. So we talked about it like the last, I don't know, toward the end of the last season, or like every season we've been talking about it. Like I think we mentioned it quite a few times last season. Was just like game's grown a lot. It can't consistently grow this much for forever. But I don't know. These numbers are pretty big still, and things are selling out pretty quickly. So maybe we're still kind of on a steep incline in terms of growth for the game. We maybe haven't like gotten over that yet. We haven't really plateaued yet. So it's just going to come down to Pokemon making sure there's enough space in these venues for the players to actually play the game.
Yeah, it's really cool to see, and it's cool to like to be witness and like living it as well, right? Like we're sitting here
Yeah.
in the thick of it while it's happening, and it's just continuing to get bigger and bigger, more attention on the game. So yeah, it's I actually was returning something at Costco this week, and the guy working behind the counter, as he was processing the return, he looked at me, he's like, "Oh, by the way, I love Uncommon Energy, dude."
Wait, actually?
Yeah,
No
yeah.
way. That's
So
sick.
shout outs
Yeah.
to that guy if you're listening. But yeah, dude, there's just more and more people getting into Pokemon cards in general in whatever way, and it's really cool to be a part of for sure. I'm excited for Vegas. I think it's going to be huge, and I hope that they open up more spots for it.
Yeah, hopefully, and hopefully we see like that. This is definitely one of the locations where I feel like they can be a little bit more aggressive with
And maybe
just seeding year to year.
maybe it's a sign too that like people are just more willing, because like you mentioned, like I've seen tons. If I just scrolled on my Twitter feed right now, I would see so many international players posting about coming to the tournament, right, who don't normally,
Yeah,
like I've saw Tim Danklin say first US regionals, right.
yeah,
I've seen tons of European players, like so many people are going to be coming out to this one. I think it like goes to show you like a good location can just lead to good results as far as how many people are coming. Like, there's nothing wrong with Pittsburgh and Milwaukee, right? Like these are good cities, and I'm not saying we shouldn't have regionals in these places, but like having like a real destination, like big cities that people want to come to for reasons outside of a Pokemon tournament, I think is a good thing. A New York regionals, or Chicago, Orlando, like these places that we've been before. Or I guess we haven't really been to Chicago or New York, have we? But we've been to Orlando. Like I think all these places would be great options to host tournaments again, right?
yeah. I even just saw. I just like just to see that myself. I saw Oyvind tweet about tweeted his registration picture. So
You
yeah,
think
it's
he's playing
it's
Charizard?
probably yeah. I mean, wait, is the what's it called won't be legal? Like the second mega set won't be legal. I
I
don't
don't
think
think
right.
so.
But we'll have the first mega set
Is
legal.
the
Oh,
second mega
maybe.
set legal for LAIC? Because LAIC is the weekend
Oh yeah, yeah,
after.
no. The second mega set comes out the week of Vegas. It's the week of
Okay,
Vegas. That's where that's right.
and then it's not
Um,
legal for LAIC.
nope, unfortunately not.
What a
That is
L.
like definitely a big miss. Definitely, if everything was just pushed, I don't know, if it just pushed a little bit around, just like a little bit. Like I feel like it's 1 week off. It's like so close. It's like just
Yeah.
1 week off. It's kind of a unfortunate big. I wonder if that's what they. I wonder if that's their goal though. That's something I would be curious about. If that's like they don't actually want the new set legal for LAIC, but it just feels like a massive miss. I feel like the terms are so much more hype and interesting to play and watch when the new set is legal for them. So I doubt that is. I feel like it's probably just scheduling conflicts is the reason for it. But that'd be something I would guess I would be curious about if that was their reasoning and what the reasoning, why they think that's better if that was their reason.
Well, we did have a pair of tournaments this past weekend. One in Frankfurt, Germany. One in Monterrey, Mexico. And lots of interesting things happening in both places. So Frankfurt was streamed. Monterrey, unfortunately, was not. but there's still plenty to talk about from both of these. So, Azul, why don't you kind of lead us in with Frankfurt? I know you did the watch party, you watched the stream for the weekend. Before we get into like the actual results, what was kind of the vibe like throughout the whole weekend watching the tournament? What did it feel like was being represented on the stream as far as decks and such in the meta?
I mean, definitely like a lot of the same. I guess it didn't feel like there was for Frankfurt. It didn't feel like there was a ton of Gardevoir on stream. In fact, like thinking about it, no, there had to be someone else besides Rune on stream with Gardevoir at some point. Maybe not though. Maybe it was just Rune eventually on stream with Gardevoir. Might have been one earlier in the tournament. I don't actually remember. No, I think David did make it on stream at some point with Gardevoir as well in day one. But it was kind of like a lot of the what you expect: Poltnors, Gardevoirs, Golden Gold Joltik definitely had an appearance and stuff like that. As far as like the tournament went down. X21 did make top cut, did make asymmetrical cut, so I think that's like worth noting. And when I did a limits calculator for Monterrey, it said it was likely, but it actually didn't happen at Monterrey. Monterrey, it was a clean cut at X12. So players who made day 2 at 521 did not have a chance of making top cut at Monterrey, but they did have a chance of making top cut. And I don't know, from the way the numbers looked, it feels like most, if not all, major tournaments this season, X21 will have a chance to make top cut. Well, they definitely have a chance, but will be like likely to make asymmetrical cut. But we'll have to see how like future tournaments play out. Like Pittsburgh will be another good indicator for that.
Yeah.
This weekend, I think one thing worth talking about as well would be the fact that they played a round of phase 2 during day 1, which is
Yeah.
a little bit confusing to hear, but for for people who don't understand, in the past we've always just kind of referred to the different phases of the tournament as day 1 and day 2. But going to this season, they've like changed the terminology for it a little bit and started calling the first 8 rounds of Swiss that we will have for most tournaments, except maybe EUIC and NAIC, phase 1, and then the next 6 rounds of Swiss, phase 2. But they're playing like for the tournaments not for Monterrey, but for Frankfurt, they played the first round of phase 2 on day 1. So they played the first 8 rounds of phase 1 on day 1, and then one of the 6 rounds of phase 2 on day 1. So they basically, everyone who was X2 or better for the first 8 rounds played an extra round, and everyone else kind of could leave and go home. And we talked about this last week or the week before in just terms of like, oh, it seems like day 1 is just going to be over a lot quicker because it's going to be 8 rounds for the majority of tournaments, and theoretically we should be getting back around like 5 minutes per round or something roughly like that, due to 50+1 instead of 50+3. But I guess like with that time shift and creating more time on day 1, they've taken a round from phase 2 or what would have been day 2 and put it on day 1 to kind of even up the time from day 1 to day 2, which doesn't lead to exactly what we thought it was going to lead to, but I don't think it's that big of a deal one way or the other. And it just kind of makes sense for them, I guess, logistically to like play out the tournament that way. I guess like the question will be when we do get to the 4,000 plus player number, which we might get at EUIC and NAIC, will they play 10 rounds on day 1 or 9 rounds? My guess would be 9 rounds, because at that point we'll have 9 rounds in phase 1 and 6 rounds in phase 2. So my assumption would be that they would do 9 rounds day 1 for all of phase 1 and 0 rounds from phase 2 on day 1, and all those would be played into day 2 into top cut. But I guess we'll have to wait and see when we actually hit a 4,000 plus player tournament.
Yeah, it does feel weird because they haven't really changed much with like, I mean, it's the same amount of rounds between day 1 and day 2 really, or day 1 at least, but just less people are playing in that last round. So is the change maybe an idea of like trying to make it a little bit easier on the end of the day, you know, like less people are playing, maybe more people leave, maybe it's easier to get everyone out at the end of the first day or something like that. Maybe that's a factor potentially. But I do think there was like kind of some confusion. I do wish it was something that was like kind of communicated a little bit better to the players before the tournament.
Yeah.
And then I guess another thing that we should talk about that was a big deal was this was the first major tournament that had the new time rules in place, 50 minutes plus 1 turn as opposed to 50 minutes plus 3 turns. And in the announcement, is it right that like in the announcement about it, they were talking about like trying to like keep the tournament moving and like, or we just kind of assumed that it's like, um, because of like time and logistics and stuff like that. It seems like the reaction, at least from people at Frankfurt, was that that was not really even the case. Like it was still kind of lagging around, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess like the thing is like I saw like the tweet from Benji
Yeah.
talking about that, but I don't know. He compared it compared to previous situation. I don't did any European regionals have 9 rounds day one last format? I don't know if he's comparing it to that or if he's just comparing it to like maybe
He's just talking about
EUIC, I
time
guess.
between rounds, I think, right?
Oh, was he talking about time between rounds?
Yeah, and he's saying, I think it's safe to say most players do not like the +1 turn compared to +3. It was implemented to save time. In Frankfurt, day one, it did not save any time compared to the previous situation. I wonder what the overtime situation was like in Monterey. Did someone keep track?
Oh, okay. I see what he's saying then now. I thought he was like saying like overall like get out time at the end of day one or whatever that might have been. I do see someone in there. Kevin Kruger did post a reply. Turnaround times in Monterey felt substantially quicker to the point I wasn't able to get any real food after 2 p.m. I'll be more prepared next time. So maybe a little bit quicker in Monterey. Maybe there were some hiccups over there in Europe. I mean, yeah, I don't think I I it would be tough for a situation for the tournament to feel in any type of way where anyone would like be like, "Oh yeah, I'm so glad they did away with +3 and gave us +1" as like
Yeah.
players, right? Like I think it's always gonna feel bad. The turnaround times would have to be like substantially quicker, and the turn would have to be like substantially smoother, which I don't even think would be possible from that change to begin with. So, um, I think it's always going to feel worse on the player end that basically you're playing less Pokemon per round now. For
Uh,
sure. We didn't see it come up too much on stream, I don't think. I think it was just the one match, the win-in match between Owen Cameraman and I forget the name of Owen's opponent, but they tied. And if they had +3, we definitely could have seen a conclusion to the match, I think. So we didn't get to see a conclusion there.
Speaking of which, there was another discussion around that as well.
Yeah.
Julius here points out, Judge call, I had a gentleman's agreement in round 12 after +1 turns. We have to decide the winner. Judge told us we can't check my opponent's top deck to see who wins. However, on stream, top decks were checked. Is there an official ruling on this?
Yeah. So the game on stream, it was Christian. Yeah, Christian versus Owen here. I believe Owen was turn 1, so they were going into Christian's. They were basically going into Christian's turn, but they were out of time, out of turns. And Owen's up 2-6, but Dragapult usually wins from behind, even at a prize deficit of this. Prizes don't mean winning the game a lot most of the time. Usually it's just like the current. It's just how close it's like how many more KOs you need to win the game. But you could have one prize card, I could have 6, and I could have a 99% chance to win the game. So this isn't true. The prize card count doesn't tell the full story, and that's why I personally don't like making gentlemen's agreements based on prize cards. Apparently, they had a gentleman's agreement based on board state, and then Owen started checking the top cards of his deck to see, okay, you're going to Iono me next turn. What could I possibly draw? To maybe come to a conclusion between him and Christian on whether one player or the other should concede, because they did have the gentleman's agreement apparently prior to the match beginning. And that is a good question because, like you said there, Julius's tweet says that he wanted to do the same thing with his opponent, but wasn't
Yeah.
able to because the judge said no, which is fine. But then the judge should be able to be saying no during every match. And I think probably the correct way to handle this would be to be fine with it as long as it doesn't take too much time for the players to conclude, because how are you going to monitor every single match
Yeah.
after the +1 turn has finalized anyway? Some people will be able to get away with it, some won't. So I think letting players do it,
Dude,
as long as as long as it takes 2 seconds to peek the top deck and show it
I
to
think they
everybody,
just
like that.
something
I don't
needs
know
to be done to get this stuff out of the game.
what,
Like
gentlemen's.
just like all these things that have to do with not playing Pokemon, man. Like
Yeah, I'm
people
with
are
you.
showing up to these tournaments because they want to play with their cards and play against people and compete. They don't want to have to know the nuances and rules of this is how I have to and you should learn some tournament, you know,
Etiquette.
formalities or
Yeah,
processes and stuff like that, but this is not this is further beyond that, right? Uh this is deciding these type of things there should be just more strict things in place that decide a game, in my opinion. Like there should be an official rule of like whoever's ahead on prize cards is the winner of the game. And yes, that might feel bad because you maybe would have actually won the game if you had more time, but maybe that's just something that's got to be factored in when choosing your deck for a tournament or choosing when to concede a second game of a tournament or a first game, right? That you feel like you're losing.
Yeah.
Because like all this stuff of like gentlemen's agreements and it's like this shady gray area of like, oh, trying to argue over the board state. Everyone always thinks they're gonna win, dude. Like it's and not, I shouldn't say everyone, but like a lot of
A
people
lot of
really think
people,
they're
yeah.
gonna win, even if they're not gonna win. And it just puts the pressure on players in situations that it's just not necessary. I think it like is added stress
And it's mostly just like who's
and
more likely to win. They could win. Like from this situation, I think Owen was probably favored, but Christian could win this game, and it wouldn't be a surprise. It wouldn't be like, oh my gosh, he hit 4 heads in a row on some continuous coin toss to win the game. It would be pretty reasonable if Christian won this game. But I think Owen was probably favored overall. Yeah, I agree. I think trying to like minimizes this stuff as much as possible is good, but we don't want to end up in a situation where it's like the only deck that's viable is Raging Bolt, right? So we got to be
yeah,
careful with
sure.
like, or at that point, maybe we would have to go to best of one. So everything is more viable at that point. 30-minute best of one would maybe be the route to go eventually, which I don't want to do because I think best of three is far superior. But I think there is still further rule tournament procedure refinements that can be done to best 2 out of 3 to lessen some of this stuff, like trying to somehow get rid of the 2-minute prize checking. Where are the guidelines for that? Where's the guideline for this? And then, like you said, maybe having some kind of if you just draw more prize cards in game 3, that's it, you win. Maybe that is the way to go as well for that to just have more games complete. Like you said, especially for the less competitive players, the newer players who just want to show up and play the game.
Yep.
They're just showing up and playing the game. They don't have to think as much about all these factors that makes a pretty big difference in terms of win percentage if the really competitive players are applying these, right? Or it can. And it's not necessarily a skill in deck building or actually piloting your deck in a game of Pokemon.
Yeah.
One thing I will say about, and Chip, you have to make sure they do not do this on the Pittsburgh broadcast over the weekend,
Oh boy.
is after time expired on the Frankfurt stream, they put a 10-minute clock just counting down again. And I'm sure the commentators explained it initially, but anyone who tuned into the stream in the middle of the overtime turns just sees a clock for like 7 minutes, and then the players just like pick up their cards, and people are just like,
They would
wait,
just change
they have
the same clock. It wouldn't be like a separate clock.
no, or it wouldn't count up, it wouldn't do anything. They would just reset to a 10-minute timer, which led to a lot of confusion in chat.
Yeah. Yeah, it should definitely be something like if I like the idea of putting a timer on because it is a 10-minute limit, right? So it's another factor, but it should be very clear that it's like overtime or something like
Yeah.
in some way. Like
Well, I
change
feel
the
like
color
it's
of it or say even have somewhere on the screen overtime or countdown or time is called turn 1, whatever, you know.
Yeah, I mean, 10 minutes is so much time. I don't think it would ever come up. So I don't think there needs to be a timer on the screen, to be honest. Because I think the idea of for anyone who's not aware, the new rules for each round is 50 minutes plus 1. Once time is called, once the 50 minutes are called, there's a maximum of 10 minutes that can be used for the current turn and the +1 turn, but it's not for those turns specifically. The 10-minute maximum is to force the tournament to be moved along in case of people taking a long time resolving gentlemen's agreements. Like that's like the main reason I'm sure that they have applied this plus 10 minutes, because finishing a turn and
I
playing one
think
turn, you just do not need 10 minutes for
I think
that
you're
at
taking some
all.
liberties there and assuming that that's the
Well,
reason for it.
I assume that has to be a big part of it for sure.
I don't
It's
think
like,
I think that it's probably just more so like we want the tournament to move on 60 minutes per round, 50 minutes for the game, plus 10 minutes of overtime, more than enough time. Boom, let's move it on. I doubt that gentlemen's agreements were a huge consideration in the amount of time that was allowed.
sure. I mean, 10 minutes is just like so overkill for active turn +1 turn
They
that
said something about that it was intentionally in a longer amount of time whenever they made the change. Let me see if I can find the announcement.
yeah,
But
whatever it might be, I don't think there needs to be a clock on the screen at all, to be honest. I was kind of surprised when I put it up. I was like, wait, did they get a time extension? That's what I thought initially first. But then people in our chat were like, no, it's a 10 plus minutes. But then people would like pick up their cards with 5 minutes left on the clock. And people were like, wait, they still have
yeah,
5
yeah,
minutes.
yeah.
So yeah, the recounting down from 10 minutes. I think there needs to be some further indicator on the screen to show that it is like overtime. Make it red or have it count up, or just don't have it. I just don't even think it needs. 10 minutes is so much; it's never gonna hit. Like it's just unnecessary.
You say that, but dude, as soon as we don't have it up there, it's gonna happen. So we should definitely have it up there. It's fine. And yes, I agree. It should be more clear, and will pass it along and see what can be done. The graphics probably are already made, so I don't know
Yeah,
if
might be
there's
too
the
late.
opportunity to make something for this tournament, but at least for future tournaments, we'll see.
Yeah,
Well, let's talk about the results of the tournament now that we've kind of gotten that out of the way. Unless there's anything else, the 50 plus one, and then the extra round of Swiss on day one from phase two, right? Was kind of the two big things. So let's just hop
yeah,
in to the results. And I mean, I guess we can talk about Monterrey and Frankfurt's winners at the same time
yeah.
because it was the same 60 cards. So Rune is the winner here in Frankfurt with Gardevoir. And then over in Monterrey, the same 60 cards was used by Aban Ahmed, who got his first regionals victory. Congrats to Aban. And then Henry Chow, who got second place. Michael Davidson, who got top four. And then a bunch of other people competing across these two tournaments as well.
Yeah, and both players, Rune and Aban, basically gave full credit to the deck to Henry Chow.
Yeah.
So Henry doing it again, innovating the Gardevoir deck. And there's nothing. I think the big innovations here. I guess like there is some standout stuff. It is like the 8th Psychic and the 4th Vessel. So just like more aggressively cycling the energy out of your deck into the discard pile.
Yeah.
Besides that though, I mean more energy is like the deck's played 3 Earth and Vessel for the most part for a long time. 7 Psychic Energy. We've seen people play 8 in the past, so we've seen it before. But then everything else in here, we've seen like Bravery Charms, Screamtail. I guess like playing 3 Bravery Charm with
Yeah.
no Drifloon is
It's a
like a
lot.
standout for sure. But I think it does kind of make sense. There's not really that many huge things that you need to want to KO. Screamtail with a Bravery Charm can get through Golden Goes with some monkey damage, right? So it's basically right there to be able to get the KOs. The only thing that Drifloon really puts you over the top against would be something like Charizard, I guess, right? So if you're trying to Charizard's like not that powerful or prevalent of a deck in the current metagame, so it's like not something you have to truly worry about that much. And then it's funny that Henry, makes it to the finals against Abana, and then loses to his 60 once again, like we saw him lose to Davidson twice already. But I mean, also, but like, I don't know, it's kind of sick. It was really cool to see the dominance of this deck over the weekend in general. I mean, only one showed up in Frankfurt in top cut. Did anyone else have the same 60 in Frankfurt? I actually don't even know.
Yeah, there was another Manuel Picardi
There's a couple
and
there.
Matthias. And the reason probably for it is Henry said in his tweet that his list was on Metafy from this
Yeah.
week's. Thanks to everyone who checked it out.
Yeah, so some people checked out the Metafy, and then took some pretty good finishes. I mean, some of them I think are definitely. I probably talked to Henry about it. People like Aban, Rune,
Yeah.
Davidson, I think all communicate together. So yeah, it's pretty sick to see the dominance of the deck. Seeing some of the familiar faces at the top, Aban and Rune getting their first Masters victories. We've had a lot of those last season, and now even more to begin the season here, which is really cool to see. We'll see how many more of those come up. And yeah, I'm kind of excited for. I mean, it's just like I don't know, it's just like a really cool result from the weekend. I'm curious to see like what kind of dominance we'll see from Henry Chow and crew moving into the season. He's kind of continuing. He kind of like Worlds. He didn't even like he had like a decent showing at Worlds and NAIC. Like I think he lost his win in NAIC, right? And then at
Yep.
Worlds, he was a win in or 2 rounds away from cut at Worlds. So it's not that he had a terrible showing. He didn't make top cut, but he's kind of continuing his dominance in the game as we start the new season here.
If you had to bet on one person to win a tournament and they're both in the field right now in the game, are you betting on Henry Chow or are you betting on Tord Reklev? Because I think for a long time you'd snap pick Tord.
Yeah. I think it's close. I think I would. Henry only has so much more time before Gardevoir EX rotates, and I think I give Tord the edge if Gardevoir EX isn't in format. So with more of the season, actually, will more of the season be without Gardevoir EX? I don't even think it's like 50-50, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, Tord already got a second place himself, right? He did lose to Rune in the finals in this one. I think I give Tord the slight edge. Yeah, I think I give Tord the slight edge, for sure. But it's close. It's definitely very close. I think Henry will do fine once Gardevoir rotates. Don't get that twisted. But it's like historically the results and what Tord has been able to do in the game is kind of unprecedented. So I still give Tord the edge for sure. Gotta pay respect for sure.
He's put the time in for sure. Well, yeah, and speaking of Tord, let's take a look at his list. And there's a lot more interesting to talk about with this one. So Dragapult Dusknoir, nothing crazy there. It is different for Tord because he's been playing straight Pult. He played it at Worlds, played it at AIC. He's got the Dusknoir in there now. And it's a pretty unique build here. Only 6 energy cards, so that's pretty light.
Yeah.
4 rare candy, really loaded up on those. And I mean, that's the big stuff right there for sure, right?
Yeah, and then a really heavy on the supporter Pokemon search right now, 2 Hilda and 2 Brock scouting, which I think is like probably where he's getting most of his edge in the mirror matches. Having 4 rare candy is kind of dead cards in the mirror, but if you go up against like other Pult Nors right now, they usually have like 2 jamming tower, so those are also dead cards in the mirror. So I think it's still probably pretty close in the mirror. He doesn't have Monkey Dory, which is a pretty big omission from his list, not just compared to his previous builds, but everyone else's Dusknoir deck in the game right now has Monkey Dory. And yeah, the 4 rare candy. I did play some with this deck today, and the rare candies felt fine. Like it was like nice when you had the rare candy combos, but most of the time it just kind of felt like a Pult Nor deck that had like a potential for a little bit more explosive turns, but like nothing like consistently extreme. It wasn't like every game was turn 2 candy Dragapult attack or anything like that.
It is pretty cool though with the 4 candy. I mean, Dragapult has pretty much always been a slower deck. And I don't think it's disputable that Dragapult is like one of the most powerful attackers in the format, if not the most powerful attacker in the format. Hilda plus 4 rare candy, I mean, just lets you turn 2 Dragapult at probably not a super low rate. I mean, it's probably not like every game, right? It's probably not 80% of games, but it's at a significant number of games. Turn 2 rare candy, Hilda, Dragapult, Neo Upper Energy, start swinging, and put on the pressure right away. So it's a little bit different for Dragapult, but still has the couple Badoos, the Latias in here for the mobility, so can still slow the game down when necessary, right?
Yeah. Also, like turn 2 candy Dusknoir can also be pretty good. You catch like a lone Ralts or Curlia on the bench, and that can be like a pretty big swing in terms of tempo. So you have that going for you as well. You don't even need the full Dragapult. You can just get some Loke set up, candy out of Dusknoir, take away their most pivotal Pokemon going into their next turn, and then get into your Dragapult on the following turn or something like that. And all this time, you're still like doing them as well. So you're still slowing them down as you're making these big plays happen. So yeah, I felt it did feel like there was like more explosive potential with the deck for sure, but a lot of games kind of developed the way that normal Pult Nor does, where you just like set up your Dracloaks, evolve to Dusclops, evolve to Dragapult, start tagging with Dragapult. But it didn't feel like the rare candies were like a huge detriment to your consistency. It's not like or your other options. You still felt like a pretty powerful Pult deck at the end of the day. It didn't feel like you were missing. It didn't feel bad when you didn't use the rare candies. Basically, you still felt like you were on pace with everyone.
And also in that finals match, there was a couple turns there where if Tord had found his Neo Upper Energy, he probably would have won the tournament. So he was pretty close to, I mean, I don't know if we should say pretty close because it is like finding his one of Neo Upper Energy.
Well, he had cycled a lot at that point.
He had dug a lot. I mean, it was like there was one turn where if he had found it, it would have been insane. And he probably would have won on the spot, but it wasn't super reasonable. On the second turn, though, he had seen a lot of cards at that point, right?
Yeah, at some point it was kind of just like I'm pretty sure Tord knew he had lost the game, but he was like, at least let me find the Neo Upper Energy at this point. Like, come on. Yeah. He's like, I'm gonna lose anyway. Just let me attack with my Dragapult. It's definitely how it felt towards the end of that one. But yeah, there was a couple turns, and the rare candies were part of some of those potential bigger plays where he could have done like a big turn where he like because the boards developed where it's like Rune had Clefairy with a Bravery Charm plus some Curlias or like a Ralton and Curlia, but couldn't quite find the Gardevoir. And actually, that's what happened in game 2. Rune prized double Gardevoir, so his bench was like double Curlia, but he had a Clefairy with a Bravery Charm, which it was hard for Tord to deal with. And if Tord wanted to like only go after the Clefairy, then he had to like pop Dusclops, which gave Rune a prize card, which means then Rune could get the Gardevoir. So he's like trying to set up for like a big play where he wipes everything off the board. And the candies could have been part of that, like candy into Dusknoir and stuff like that, but wasn't quite. It was like a piece or two short every single turn to making the big plays happen. So it was a really it was one of the better finals I think we've had in a major in a while.
Definitely a good one. There were 2 more Pult decks in the top 4. We've got Kaito Arai, who's been one of the top players in the game the last couple of seasons, coming out of Japan, but competes mostly in the TPCI region with a At first glance, pretty normal, straight pult build, but there's that little skinny Dusklops line, not Dusknoir,
Yeah.
just a 1/1 Dusklops.
Yeah, and then still sticking with the cornerstone, which I think him and Tord actually played the same 60 at Worlds. They were playing
Mhm.
the cornerstone, had the Sudowoodo in there as well. So there are definitely some changes from to this build from the Worlds build that he played. It still has the penny in there to go with picking up and reusing the basic Pokemon, but then and has the cornerstone as kind of the golden go answer, but then has like the explosive power of the Dusclops. Not quite. I wouldn't quite call this like Pult Nor. I still call it kind of straight Pult with the Dusclops in there.
You can't call it
Um,
Pult Nor, there's no Nor, bro.
Yeah, Pult Clops.
Pult Clops, yeah, there you go.
The Pult Clops here. Yeah, have that little bit more depth to the deck now with the Dust Clops, which can be good. So yeah, there's a lot of different ways that people are playing the straight Pult right now, and I have no idea the best way to play it. And then we even have like new ways to play the deck, which next we can take a look at. Fabian's Dragapult Blaziken, which this one definitely kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah, and this is a deck we've seen a little bit from before. I think mostly in Japan, we saw a little bit from this deck at one of the Champions Leagues, right? But I mean, this is the best finish we've seen from the archetype for sure. So I mean, Blaziken EX is like just a pretty solid card, right? Its ability attaching extra energy from your discard pile, like that is just pretty good. But it's another stage 2 Pokemon, setting it up alongside your main attacker as a stage 2 Pokemon. It's just kind of a lot to get rolling. But when you get it rolling, I mean, that's two 320 HP Pokemon in play. And it also opens up the ability to power up lots of other different attackers. We see the Chi-Yu in here. We see Elgym to slight shift some energies around. And we even see the Petrant promo card with Poison Chain to poison, sneak in a single prize turn, KO between turns as well. So your opponent can't use Pheasantipity. Lots of cool things you can do with that.
Yeah, so the way to think about the Petron is basically Maractus, but better. But it does say 2 energy to attack, so most decks can't afford to play Maractus or other Pult decks. But you have Blaziken for the extra energy acceleration, so that's kind of cool. I think the biggest strength of this build is the Chi-Yu, and I actually think you're probably favored against Golden Go. I've put a little time in with the deck now. The deck's pretty cool. It's pretty sick if you're looking for like a new deck to try out that doesn't just kind of feel like another Dragapult deck, then this is definitely the deck to pick up for sure. And yeah, I think it does have a favorable Golden Go matchup. And that's like the biggest strength of this deck compared to the other builds of Dragapult, where I think you probably do come up a little bit short in the mirror matches. If you do get like a really powerful board with a Blaziken and a Dragapult, you do play double Monkey Dory, you got double Dark Energy plus a Luminous, so you can have some pretty powerful swing turns, getting a couple Monkey Dory online in a single turn. The LGM could potentially come and play into the mirror match. I actually don't know all the use cases for, or how do you pronounce it? Elgym?
I think it's Elgym, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, for the Elgym, are you looking up how to pronounce it?
Yeah.
um Elgym, so you can have that in there. I don't know if that actually makes that big of a difference in the mirror though. That's like one of the cards I haven't fully figured out. And but the deck's pretty sick for sure. It goes back to kind of the Arvin style build
It is
of
LGM.
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 Okay, that's how I've always pronounced it, or I've seen people in my chat like pronounce it as well, or that's what they call them.
You've
They just say
seen people in
LGM.
your chat pronounce
Not
it?
pronounce it, but they say LGM. They don't say like they don't call it its name. I do actually wonder if you could just play this kind of like a research build of the deck though. Cut the Arvins, cut the TM Evo, more research, maybe more candies. I wonder if that wouldn't be a more powerful way to play the deck, to be honest. So that could be something worth experimenting with. Another thing I'll also mention is like the having played with the deck, the secret box. It's probably the best ace spec in the deck, especially for this build. But it's like it doesn't feel super powerful in the deck. Like I don't know. Sometimes you like play a deck and you're like, oh, this ace spec just feels really good in here. But the secret box just feels like, okay, this is fine. It's probably the best ace spec to play, but um, it doesn't feel like super powerful, like playing secret box down in Gardevoir does or something like
What
that.
would
But
be even better? What would
I
even
like
be
that's what
another option?
yeah, that's where I get stuck. It's like maybe there's something unfair stamp is the only other thing I could think of, but yeah, maybe secret box is just the best.
Master
Um,
Ball, bro. You got so many Pokemon, just get a guy.
sure, using Arvin for Master Ball for jeez, man.
Master Ball for Torchic, so then you can Arvin for Master Ball and TM Evo. Get your Torchic
Ooh, let's go.
and TM Evo to Combuskin. Imagine using a Master
Yep.
Ball on a Torchic.
What a waste. But yeah, the deck's pretty sick.
And then looking at the rest of Top Cut, we've got Joltik, we've got Golden Go. But before we get into those, I want to talk about some of these Terra boxes
A
because
lot of
this
them.
was kind of a big deck on the weekend in both
And not
tournaments.
yeah, not just here, but over in Monterrey. The deck had by far, I think at Frankfurt it had a 40% conversion rate, and in Monterrey it had a 48% conversion rate. So by far the biggest conversion rate of like relevant decks. There's obviously some decks that had like 100% conversion rate, but it was like one person playing it, so that doesn't really count. So of decks with like 50 plus players, these had by far the best conversion rates, for sure. I guess you should maybe take a look at the metagames in general. There's not too much to talk about as far as they go,
Yeah.
but we could take a look at those.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we'll start here in Frankfurt. So Dragapult overall does lead the way here at 14.5%. We've got Raging Bolt 12.2, Golden Go 11.4, Gardevoir just under 10, and then Charizard and Joltik Golden Go kind of rounding out the top 6. And it is Joltik Golden Go and Golden Go being separated here.
Yeah.
How were they
So
on the stream graphics? Were they separated?
they were separate as well. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, which I think makes sense, for sure, because the decks I think do play out pretty differently. Are pretty different decks. I think like Joltik Golden Go is probably unfavored to Gardevoir, whereas like Golden Go is like favored. And I think that's actually why Gardevoir, like, that helped Gardevoir going into this weekend for sure and becoming a better deck, because like Golden Go was 22% of the metagame at Worlds, and here it dropped off quite a bit. It dropped off a lot, honestly, but a lot of that is just Golden Go players switching over to Joltik Golden Go, and I do think, whereas at Worlds, a lot of like of the top tier players, right? Like tier 1, tier S players, regional champion level players, or people who have won regional championships this season even played Golden Go. I think that was less so the case this weekend than it was at Worlds. And actually, that's maybe something we could talk about here. Is just like the results from Golden Go were kind of underwhelming. There was one top cut across both tournaments from Drew Stephenson, who's got a pretty interesting list we can talk about. Owen Cameron did make it to the win in, so he was almost in cut. But then from there, the next highest place in Golden Go is 70th place, which it's not even so much the fact that Golden Go is 12% of the meta, because Raging Bolt's also 12% of the meta, but no one really cares how Raging Bolt plays, right? It's like the expectations of Raging Bolt are a lot lower. The expectations for Golden Go are a lot higher, and I would say Golden Go is a lot more powerful of a deck than Raging Bolt, or it just is a more powerful deck. Maybe not a lot. Raging Bolt's still pretty good. But yeah, the results were definitely underwhelming. But this build here from Drew is pretty sick. The Secret Box, Fan Rotom.
Yeah, so this was kind of a build that popped up a little bit at Worlds. Some good players played it. Basically, Fan Rotom is kind of the way you can get an edge in the mirror match, where you can have an all one prize board and be aggressive, right? You don't have colorless Pokemon you're searching out with Fan Call. You're just going to be able to go assault landing and take a prize card, and initiate that prize trade with just a single prize Pokemon in play. And Secret Box sets it all up because you can Secret Box for the Nest Ball, the Air Balloon, and the Stadium card, right?
Yeah, and for anyone who's gonna like pick this deck up, you apparently don't want to use the Fan Rotom in every matchup. Like, it's good against, like you mentioned, Mirror Match, good against Charizard to initiate as like a keeping a one prize board. But apparently against Dragapult, you do not want to use the Fan Rotom, or I think using it might be fine, but just don't use your Secret Box. Secret Box is like a big card to close out the game against Dragapult. Oh no, you just don't want to put Fan Rotom in play because you don't want to have Refuge Room and Fan Rotom in play. That's what it was. You
Yeah,
don't want
two one
two
prize
one prizes
guys.
in play. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't use Fan Rotom against Dragapult and try and save your Secret. Unless you're like KOing their Lone Treepy, probably. If you're KOing the Lone Treepy, you're probably all right. But keep that in mind if you pick this build up. It's a build I haven't tried out quite yet. It's one of the decks I'm definitely plan to mess around with a little bit and see how it feels, though, for sure. Different take on the Golden Go.
Yeah. Could you see it being the best way to play Golden Go right now?
Maybe. I mean, the Fan Rotom is pretty cool. Just having that kind of more aggressive option of a one prizer is like something that Golden Go lacks a lot for the mirror match. But the mirror match is becoming like less prevalent and like less relevant to actually have that edge. So leaning into that super heavily isn't as necessary anymore. It definitely feels like Golden Go right now is a deck where it's like, it felt like at Worlds that was the main concern, is how do I beat the mirror match. It feels like that's less of a concern for sure moving forward.
And then as we get outside of the top cut here, there's actually some really interesting decks for us to take a look at. First off, Richard Herman here, 11th place, Greninja EX.
Greninja, Pidgeot, Dusknoir. And I've played with this deck as well. This deck is pretty sick. I definitely had low expectations when I started playing with it, but now that I put some games in with it, like the deck is actually it feels like pretty good. Like, it's not anything crazy. It's not like the next Pultnor or anything like that, obviously, but I don't know, it felt pretty solid overall, and I think there's still a lot to be potentially, I guess, discovered with the deck, like further
Yeah.
innovations to be applied to it. So it's pretty cool.
Grand Tree is just such a cool A spec, being able
Yeah.
to get any guy into play really fast like that from the deck. Super strong. And a deck like this that plays 3 stage 2 Pokemon, it makes a lot of sense. There's some cool things you can do as well where you like super odd back the Dusclops Dusknoir, Grand Tree back into play right away, right?
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, the combination of Colress's tenacity to get the Grand Tree plus the ignition energy working with the Mirage Barrage. Yeah, taking advantage of the fact that people are not playing that Shaman in their decks right now. And that's probably another reason why Terrabox was so successful this weekend as well.
Yeah, definitely. The Terrabox builds, yeah, like you said, Terrabox is the most successful deck by far in terms of conversion rate. 3 of them in top 8 here in Frankfurt. And it did pretty well over in Monterrey as well. Not just in terms of top cut placements, but also like overall conversion percentage, high placements. Like it's actually, honestly, yeah, I think it was, especially because it made its way to top cut. Because sometimes decks will have high conversion rates. Like Crustle had really high conversion rate for both tournaments, but did not did not succeed very well in day 2. So Terrorbox, I think maybe outside of Monterrey, Guardia at Monterrey was probably the most successful deck on the weekend was Terrorbox in terms of play rate to day 1 to do phase 1 to phase 2 conversion into top cut conversion from there. Had some pretty ridiculous numbers. And I don't know, I guess it does make sense. No one's really playing Shaman right now, besides like Grimmsnarl's like the only deck that's consistently playing Shaman. I will say though, like I mean, your Gardevoir matchup, whether they have Shaman or don't, is like unfavored. It's not like this deck is the deck has been fine. Going to and even at these tournaments, I think the deck was just kind of fine. It wasn't like an overly whelming broken play. It just like felt like, oh, this is like definitely seems like a decent opportunity to play the deck.
It's maybe better
Um,
right now than it has been.
yeah, and honestly, even at Worlds, it might have been a better play than its like play rate. I know like Shemansky played it and got top 32, I believe, and was in a position to make cut at some point at Worlds. I think that definitely could have been more success there if more people had like picked it up. And we see some cool innovations with like this, like all the builds. To be honest, there's like a couple different things that are a little bit outside of the norm. The Iron Leaves is a cool grass attacker for stuff like Zoroark and Charizard. There was the Mezagoza as your stadium bump, but it's still a way for you to help find your like your Noctowls while you're getting item locked up against the Pulp matchup. A lot of people weren't playing Briar or Countercatcher at all. So a lot of people doing a bunch of different things. One of the lists had Volcanion in it as well. So a lot of different takes on the deck, which was cool to see. A lot of people doing a lot of different things. Their own Twist Ends plan plus Glass Trumpet in this build here. There's the Volcanion as well, like I mentioned.
A
So
judge.
the Judge. I'm a big fan of the Judge over the Iono. So you can like if you go first, you can go like Judge plus Torrential Pump turn 2, which isn't even that hard to pull off. Personally, a big fan of that one. But yeah, a lot of cool takes on
Well,
the deck.
after a mediocre performance at Worlds, Grimmsnarl has a little bit of a run here in Frankfurt. Shout outs to my boy Mike Ellis, one of our casters showing up for the casters here with the Grimmsnarl. And we were talking about this deck a little bit before the podcast. You were telling me you really like this list a lot.
Yeah, I'm still not super hype on Grimmsnarl as a whole in the metagame at all, but I do really like the list. The lack of boss, I hadn't even gone that far with my builds. I had like ended up, I think my final build or my most recent build had like one countercatcher, one boss. But Mike went all the way, no bosses orders, just a couple countercatcher and the iron bundle. And then like trying to keep it pretty much as straightforward as possible from there. The double team Devo, really good against Dragapult to kind of reset them a turn. And sometimes the way I mean, you have the Ursaluna in here, so like that's usually your main win condition against Golden Go is like a Grim Ursaluna. But you can like set up a 2/2 Frostlass and then play for a TM Devo angle possibly, which means you're maybe not drawing any prize cards till the end of the game. So by playing 2 of them, you're less likely to prize it, which is cool. And then it has an interesting take on the Frostlass line, which is to play a 2/3 Frostlass. And I think a Frostlass line in general is really, really good up against matchups like Raging Bolt and Golden Go, where you want to set up a 2/2 Frostlass really aggressively. And this is like this allows you to do that more consistently because you're less likely to prize one of your pieces. But it's kind of like the flip from what you would normally think would be the line to go with, which would be like 3 Snorunt, 2 Frostlass, and goes with like the 2/3. And that's like better for your other matchups where like, when you miss the turn 1 TM Evo, you're just more likely to naturally draw into your Frostlass, which leads to getting a Frostlass in play in
Yeah.
matchups like Dragapult, where you're like kind of okay with just getting a single Frostlass in play to be able to work with or something like that.
It can also be nice, like for those times where you put TM Evo in play and then play Research Oriona for turn and draw your Frostlass, right? Which happens plenty of times, and now you still have more chances to have them in the deck, right?
Yeah, exactly. If you get Iona the turn after they go back to the deck, you're gonna have a higher chance of drawing back into them for sure. So, yeah, definitely a unique take on the build compared to what we'd seen. And but yeah, I like the list a lot.
And I think the most interesting story to come out of the event, if we look at the decks that were at the end of the first day of competition, leading the way here, um, there's a couple Conkeldurr at 8-1, and where am I at? Right here. Here we go. We see Benjamin Gorgos closing it out with a top 16 finish with Conkeldurr of all things.
Yeah, with the Conkeldurr. And yeah, Benjamin wasn't actually I believe it was Alex. I think it was
Yes.
8-0 after phase 1 with Conkeldurr.
Yes.
Does end up in top 32 as well. But yeah, Benjamin is the one who takes it the step further with the top 16. Yeah, definitely a big surprise. We got to see Alex on stream actually with the Conkeldurr, and a unique or a funny or an interesting stat. The 4 Conkeldurr players who made day 2 at Frankfurt all hit each other at 4-0 in round 5, which is just an absurd stat. Yeah, there's 4 Conkeldurrs who made day 2, 2 of them in the top 32, one of them in top 16, or one of the 2 in the top 16, and they all hit each other in round 5 of phase 1, which is just bizarre. Just a weird stat there. It's absolutely absurd. But there's a couple different takes on the build. Like the highest placing list here had the Pidgeot line.
Yep.
Alex, no Pidgeot, went with the 4/4 to Dunsparce. And as far as Conkeldurr decks go, like this is the way Conkeldurr's been being played. It's cool to see it kind of show up here for sure, and get some results. It's cool to see something new and fresh, and we saw a little bit of that as well. Like we saw Fabian, Blaziken, Dragapult, Richard with the Greninja, Benjamin and Alex here with the Conkeldurr. So it's cool to see some fresh stuff in what has felt like a pretty played out, not even like format, but couple formats in a row of like kind of the same top decks over and over and over again. It's cool to see some fresh stuff still pop up.
Do
Guardian
you
Pulse don't dominate everything.
Is this deck like just a fluke for the tournament, or do you think that Conkeldurr is like a deck that can compete?
Probably not. I would still like rate the deck as like usually like the way I rate decks is like either I first like rate them as if they're competitive or not competitive. I still rate the deck as probably being uncompetitive, which I know like some people are gonna hear me say that and be like, "Oh, it just got top 16," but it's like it's got a tough Guardian matchup. Poltnor is tough as well. Like at that point, I just like don't even like rate the deck as being competitive if it doesn't even feel like it can keep up with those 2 decks. And I do feel like it's like pretty unfavored against both those. But got a really good Golden Glow matchup. Got a really good Raging Bolt matchup. You can hang with those for sure. Joltik Box, free matchup. So you obviously some good matchups, but once you struggle against the top 2 decks in terms of like results in the format by far, yeah, I don't rate the deck very highly in terms of how in terms of it being a competitive deck. But listen, but with that, like if it, I would love to have seen it win the tournament. And in Pittsburgh, I'm gonna be rooting for the Conkeldurr.
Hey,
But I wouldn't recommend anyone play it if they're trying to win the tournament.
just saying, Benjamin here did beat in one of those matchups you mentioned, regional champion James Cox
Yep.
in Dragapult Dusknoir. So
That is true. That is true. Did manage to get a win there, and it's not impossible. It's just tough. It's not impossible. It's tough. Definitely tough. Also, did take out a Gardevoir. Those are the 2 took a Gardevoir in the last round.
Yep.
As well.
Yep, can definitely win them. But yeah, very cool. And then there was also, I mean, of the other notable decks, I mean, there's some stuff here in the top 32 that we're used to seeing. The Dragapults, the Raging Bolts. There is a Ethan's Ho-Oh up here. Not a new deck, but still hanging around. And let's hop over to Monterrey now and take a look at the finishes there. We did talk about the Gardevoirs. There was some Terra boxes. We talked about these a little bit as well. But this is where the Charizard made top cut this weekend.
A couple Charizard Pidgeot, and a Charizard Dragapult.
Yep.
I guess the big standout card in this deck is the Tatsugiri, which I'm a big fan of Tatsugiri whenever I can find a home.
Boo.
Tatsugiri in here. But besides that, nothing crazy as far as Zard builds goes. This is kind of the norm. Maximum belt in there to try and give yourself a chance against Paul. Actually, honestly, at this point, I wonder. I don't know if that's true though. It's kind of interesting. Zard handles every other matchup so well with basically a dead A spec in the deck against every other matchup. I guess the maximum belt is also kind of cool against Golden Go. It can be, so it's probably just worth to keep it as the maximum belt. But it feels bad to be like, I'm playing this maximum belt, and I kind of have to play it because it's my only chance against Dragapult. But the matchup is still so bad.
Doesn't even have the Pichu, dude.
What if we just fully give up? True, you got the maximum belt without the Pichu as well. Like, if we're gonna commit to it, may as well just go all the way. Because I think even that Worlds was playing Secret Box, right?
Yeah.
So just like completely gave up on the Dragapult matchup. Just like, I don't care. I just hope to not hit him.
Yeah, and I guess then it becomes a question of which one is better. Is it the unfair stamp? Is it the secret box?
Yeah.
Because Charizard for a long time was the best user of unfair stamp, which unfair stamp, I mean, I don't think that, I mean, there's just so many broken aspects in the game, like Prime Catcher, unfair stamp. These cards are both insane, but Secret Box has just gotten a stranglehold on the formats in the last 6 months.
And it is kind of crazy because it doesn't even feel. I mean, it's pretty impactful when you draw it, but it's just kind of like nice. Whenever like I play Gardevoir and I played on my Secret Box, I'm like, okay, this was nice. I got like a really nice big turn here, but it's like not something I couldn't have pulled off if I just played Research for turn, right? But it's like guarantees everything, which is nice. Having like a guaranteed broken turn, I guess like +1 guaranteed broken turn in most games is like, it's kind of good, I guess. You can't really argue too much against it.
Ooh, one thing I did want to point out as well, got to give a shout out here. Did you see what the juniors finals was in Frankfurt?
Yeah, I did. I did see
Conkeldurr versus Okie Dokie. Are you kidding me?
You love to see it.
Truly love to see it.
And
shout
honestly,
these
for
kids.
The last time I had seen the metagame breakdown for, actually, we could take a look at it. It does feel like honestly, it kind of makes sense. Like there's like very little Gardevoir. I don't even know where Nor kind of stands for the juniors and seniors. But Golden Go and Rage are the top 2 decks. So definitely better builds, better decks to play in the in this metagame for sure. And the metagames are generally a little bit different, or sometimes quite a bit different, to be honest, between juniors, seniors, and the Masters division for sure.
Yeah,
so different decks can be a little bit more, a little bit stronger of a play.
Any other unique standouts here from Monterrey? This is where we see our best finishing Zolark on the weekend, 17th place, Jonathan Torres. Then there's also a Iron Thorns up here as well.
There's an Iron Thorns up there, dude. I don't know. There could be something. Maybe there is something here with Thorns still. I mean, you like auto win the Gardevoir matchup, which is kind of cool. That's something, right? Golden Go, also a pretty good matchup. Not being able to draw, not being able to use Genesect, not being able to set up any or use Golden Go's ability to draw cards. From there, though, I definitely have some question marks. The Pulp matchup has always been really bad for Iron Thorns, so I don't know where.
Dude, they're all playing these like heavy luminous counts. Why? Let's get some enhanced hammers in this deck.
Yeah, this build, the one thing I feel like is missing from this build, and maybe they just gave up on the Pulp matchup. Maybe that is one of the takes. But TM Devo, I feel like, is like usually only in this deck for the Pulp matchup, so that'd be a little bit weird to play the TM Devo. And like,
you could see being good against like Charizard or something like that too.
Yeah, it could definitely be good against Charizard, because you get to like punch something for 140 and then next turn TM Devo, because otherwise you're 3-hitting Charizards and Dragapults, stuff like that. So maybe it is just kind of for the Charizard match. Maybe they did just give up on the Pulp matchup. They're like, nah, can't beat it, whatever. But I can beat everything else or close enough. Actually, Yurko's Raging Bolt list is pretty interesting. I think that would be one of the few other decks that we were taking a look at here. It is an Owl build, but Glass Trumpet, 4 Crispin, and then only Boss as the other support. I guess what other supporters do people usually play? Judge, sometimes Iono, Judge, none of that. Double Baby
There's
Bolt.
no like Turo or anything like that.
Yeah, so I mean, as far as reading, I kind of like this list. As far as Raging Bolt lists go, like it's just super straightforward, and it's trying to play around Baby Bolt as much as possible with the heavy counts of like stuff like Crispin and double Baby Bolts, obviously. So interesting take on the deck. Definitely something I think worth.
Yeah, I personally don't think you need the second Baby Bolt because it could just be your Pheasantipity EX, you know. That's what I've heard at least.
Understand. Yeah, that's generally what I like to say is like, you know, the Pheasantipity.
I know.
Big Fez fan as your second Baby Bolt. So I don't know if you need the second Baby Bolt, but before Crispin is interesting. Always draw Crispin, always have Crispin, and just play through that in the early game, which is kind of cool.
Well, let's recap the predictions that we made heading into the weekend. The first one was, will Gardevoir win a tournament? Well, it won both, and it was the same 60.
Yeah.
So I guess if we knew for sure Henry Chow was going. I guess it's not that crazy, right? Did you
Yeah,
see this
honestly,
tweet from Joe Bernard?
yeah, that is kind of crazy. But
The winner of every single
yeah.
TPCI cash major from the Scarlet and Violet on format. It is all Gardevoir and then one Raging Bolt.
Christian Labella with the 1 Bolt. Um, Man, that's actually kind of Brent Thompson almost won 3 regionals in a row because he lost to Christian in cut at that tournament. So there's a potential that Brent could have won 3 majors in a row. That'd have been kind of crazy with the same Guardy 60. Maybe
Yeah.
changed 1 card. I don't remember. Um, Interesting. I mean, it's kind of absurd. But the thing is, like, I don't know. Maybe I feel like some people are tired of Gardevoir at this point, and some people do think it's really really strong. Definitely, there's a lot of people who think it's stronger than I think it is. It just doesn't feel like Gardevoir feels like broken. Like if it's good, I mean, it's won everything, but like I don't feel like it's like it doesn't feel like broken Lugia or ADPization, where it's like so frustrating and infuriating to go up against, and it feels unwinnable for like most of the decks in the format. It feels like you can compete up against it with a lot of decks in the format pretty consistently, and it doesn't feel out of reach to beat for a lot of the other good decks in the format. But maybe it's one of those things where it's just like not enough players are playing it, and if more players just played Gardevoir, we'd really see the true like I don't know how broken it truly is and how oppressive it can actually be. But we're just like the players aren't picking it up often enough. I guess that could be a factor for sure.
It's definitely a little bit less approachable than something like an ADP Zacian or a
That's true as
Lugia,
well. Yeah.
right?
That's definitely true. That's definitely true for sure. So that could be a factor to it as well, where it's like maybe Gardevoir is, but see, I don't know. But like when you play up against those decks felt unbeatable. It's just like, yeah. I mean, I guess like if the by far BDIF deck winning every single tournament was an Iron Hands deck, maybe I would feel that way. Um,
Maybe it's because like you feel like Gardevoir is more of a skillful deck than something like ADP, Herder, I go Ultra Creation turn 1, or Broken Lugia, Herder, here's
yeah,
my Lugia V-Star with 2 Archeops and my broken amazing rare Pokemon, right?
yeah. Or maybe it is one of those things where I'm just like, well, I get to play more Pokemon against Lugia or Gardevoir, so it doesn't feel as bad when I lose the game. Maybe
Sure.
I'm falling into that mindset. But no, I don't think Lugia's that on that level of
Gardevoir.
brokenness. Or yeah, I don't think Gardevoir's on that level of brokenness as Broken Lugia as the ADPization. It is really good. I think throughout the format, it hasn't been like head and shoulders above everything else. I think there's times where it has. Right now, it doesn't feel like it is. Um, and honestly, I feel like one of the biggest things, I don't know, maybe not. Yeah, it just doesn't feel like it's that much better than everything else. It is a really interesting because we did talk about it. Like the 2 top decks in the format right now, it's Gardevoir and Poltnor, right? Especially in terms of like achievements, right? And success. Even though Poltnor hasn't won anything, it's always like right there, right? And it's
Yeah.
one of the biggest threats in the format by a lot.
It's
And
gotten second at quite a few.
Yeah, and Golden goes favored against both those decks. Like Golden goes favored against the Dragapult decks for the most part. Once the Toadstools and the Cornerstones get involved, I'm actually not quite sure where those percentages stand. But against like a classic Poltnor against Gardevoir, Golden goes favored. So it is interesting. But that's the thing is Golden Go. I think we talked about this like on our tier list pre-Worlds. Like Golden Go comes up short against the more fringe decks. Like Poltnor and Gardevoir's matchup spread is really wide. Golden Go has a way more narrow matchup spread, and yeah, way more narrow matchup spread, and then can't deal with everything as frequently. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it doesn't feel like it's broken. I mean, it's definitely not getting banned or anything. Like rotation's coming up, so
Yeah. I did see
also
someone say if this was if this was Yu-Gi-Oh, this card would have been banned months ago or something like that.
yeah, I saw that too. But I don't think that's true. Like it's not. Maybe it feels like 40% of the meta, but it's not right. Gardevoir's 10% of the meta game.
Yeah.
It does show up, but a lot of other decks show up pretty consistently as well. I guess they're not winning though. Like it is still. I mean, literally, he's won everything.
It's
Except
hard
for
to argue with the
everyone.
results here.
Yeah, yeah. The results here, we do see it winning everything, but so many good players choose to play it as well, right? So that's gonna influence that for
I wonder
sure.
if this will be one of those things where when you look back in time at this format, if you'll question, dude, why was I ever playing anything besides Gardevoir? It was obviously just so broken. It was like the best deck for sure.
Yeah. And it might be one of those things where it's like the best deck for sure, but like in terms of like expected win percentage, it's only like gives you only have like a 5% edge. But like if you know the edge is guaranteed, why would you not take it, right? Um, Yeah, I could definitely see that.
Next prediction was, will there be extra prize cheese on stream? That was the words we used when we talked about this last week, aka things like the Chansey, things like the Togekiss. Did you see any of that come up, Azul? I'll defer to you here.
I'm almost positive there was not.
I mean, you even said we could count Briar in this.
Yeah, Briar was and that's actually the one that I think had the highest, or like,
did we count Iron
almost came
Hands
up.
in this?
No Iron Hands. Iron Hands. Briar. We were counting
Dusknoir?
Briar, Togekiss. No, it was just like Briar, Togekiss, and there was one more. I forget what the other one was.
Chansey.
Hands did not count. Chansey, yeah. But I don't think any of them came up. It just never happened. I think there was a couple opportunities for Briar to happen with some of the Terra Box decks, but it didn't end up coming down to a Briar play.
And our final prediction: pick a player to make cuts. You went with Brent Tonneson. Got 37th in Monterrey, respectable. And I went with Tord Reklev, who got second place. This is like the third or fourth time that when we've done this prediction, pick a player to make cut, I've picked the person who got second place.
Yeah, you've been doing. Yeah, you definitely have been pretty good at predicting the second place players. For some of these players, though, they're going to look at it as a curse. They're going to be like, dude, Chip predicted me. Now I can't win the tournament. Yeah. At a certain point, people are going to be like, man, I want to win. And then Chip got the prediction, so I guess I have to settle for that second place finish. So you got that power in your hands. Of course, you're not going to be too disappointed with the second place finish. But if Chip predicts the same person too many times.
I can just always curse someone. I'll pick Rahul every single time. He'll never get his regionals win.
He'll never get the dub.
All right, Azul. Well, I think it is time for us to move on here to guess that flavor text. But before we do, we got to thank our fantastic sponsor, Dragon Shield, for supporting us here at the Uncommon Energy Podcast. Dragon Shield, of course, makes some of the best card gaming and tabletop gaming products on the market. We love them for their sleeves. And they've got a couple new colors out. We've talked about them the last couple of weeks, the Blossom Pastel Duels and Gooseberry Pastel Duels. We'll have links on our description if you want to pick those up. I also do want to give a quick call out to the custom art sleeves because Puka, who is like the owner of the cubes and stuff that we used on our cubing weekend this past week, he uses custom Dragon Shield artwork sleeves on his cube. And they feel great. They really feel really, really nice. So if you can't use custom sleeves, unfortunately, in Pokemon tournaments, but if you got a special project like that, a cube you're working on, maybe you want to give a friend or a loved one a gift, something like that, you've got a pet that you want to rock on your sleeve, something like that. Genuinely, I actually really do like the feel of the artwork sleeves.
Yeah. I've used some of them on some, what have I shuffled up before with them? I know I have. I think some old decks at some point with the art sleeves, because they've sent me some in the past, and I've definitely seen those some decks. Oh, I think I did it for when I did it. I've done IRL deck profiles, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I've used them on those, and yeah, they feel just about as good as any of their other sleeves. They don't miss over at Dragon Shield, so be sure to go check them out. DragonShield.com. Code UEPOD, UEPOD will get you 5% off and directly supports us here on the podcast. And like you said, up next, guess that flavor text. This week, it's my turn to pick a card, read the flavor text, and then Chip, you have to try and guess which Pokemon and card it belongs to. If you guess it right without using a single lifeline, you get 4 points for each lifeline you use. You get 1 less point. The lifelines are what set the card is from, what stage the card is, and then read an attack name. It's been a little while since any of us have gotten. Oh, it hasn't been that long.
It's been like 2 months, buddy.
Yeah, it's almost been 2 months. Just about, yeah. It doesn't look that long on the spreadsheet. You just see the lines, but then you count them and you realize it's a week per line. You're like, all right, maybe it is a little bit.
Shout outs to Tim in Games, who keeps track of the spreadsheet for us every single week, keeping it nice and up to date for us. Big shout outs there. But yeah, I'm currently ahead 38 to 33 points and looking to extend that lead here this week. Azul, what do you have for me?
When the flowers of a well-tended flower bed bloom, it appears and celebrates with an elegant dance.
Well, one of my first thoughts is Sunflora or Shaman. Those are kind of the main 2 Pokemon I think about when it comes to flowers. Sunflora or Shaman. Let me hear the flavor text again.
When the flowers of a well-tended flower bed bloom, it appears and celebrates with an elegant dance.
I mean, I feel like Sunflora would be too easy. Could it be like Lilligant or Hisuian Lilligant, something like that? Didn't you just give me? Oh, you gave me a Petalil a couple weeks ago. So maybe you're just going. Are you just going in set order in Guardians Rising? You gave me Petalil, and next up we've got Lilligant, and then next week we'll get like Bound Sweet or something. Whatever's next on the set list. It's possible. It's possible. Let me go with what set the card is from. That'll help me narrow it down a little bit.
It is from XY promos.
Oh, come on, buddy. There's like 250 of those things. Okay. Well, it could be Shaman. There's a couple Shaman promos from because in XY was when they did the mythical, like the 20th anniversary generations. They had the mythical Pokemon boxes. There was a Shaman box, so it definitely could be Shaman. I don't think. I could be wrong, but I don't think there's a Lilligant Sun and Moon promo. I don't think there's a Sunflora Sun and Moon promo. I guess could it also be Meloetta? I don't know that Meloetta is dancing for flowers necessarily. That could be another one though. Let me have you read an attack name. I'm pretty locked in on this being a basic, so I don't think that's going to help me.
Aromatherapy.
Aromatherapy. Wow, thanks, buddy. Yeah, I mean, I guess do I just lock in Shaman? Hold on. If I within my seat right now can reach a card, can I look at it?
No.
No?
No.
I have the full set of those full art promos in my binder right next to me. So I could look to get a peek. I think based on the information I have, it's pretty unlikely to be anything but a basic. I don't know. Shaman is like dancing though, and I feel like that would also maybe be too easy. Aromatherapy, could it be like? Oh, I guess it could be like a pre-release promo card, something like that. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm just gonna. What pre-release promo could it be? I don't think there's like a Sunflora. There's a Sunflora from Silver Tempest. That's a pre-release promo. That's not XY. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm just gonna go with Shaman and cross my fingers that it's right. Now, before you tell me, go through the rest of the lifelines. Locking in
Okay.
Shaman though.
Okay. Shaman's locked in. It was just one lifeline last. Yeah, the last lifeline is a stage 1.
Dang it, man. Can you give me what XY promo number it is? Just for
Sure.
funsies.
It is 139.
So that would have probably been like towards the end.
You want me to give you the set that the other printing is in?
Yeah, sure.
Breakthrough.
Really?
Yeah.
I know that Jirachi promo is XY promo 67, and that came out at the same time as Breakthrough. So that's kind of wild. Because what is this one? 131, you said?
139.
139. So this is like a late life cycle, like probably a pin blister promo or something like that. It's not like Chespin or something like that. No, it's a stage 1, you said. I don't know. Yeah, tell me what it is.
Floetta.
Floette, bro.
Floette.
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 I mean, that makes sense. I just couldn't picture a promo of this guy.
That's it.
What is that card from? Where did this come out? Is this even real? It's only 10 cents. What is this from?
Is this a real card? Pokemon cards? He's just making up Pokemon cards on their site.
Oh, that's annoying. I'm gonna look up what product this came in.
That's the part you're not even annoyed that you couldn't get it. It's just that you couldn't be like, oh yeah, of course.
I feel like if I could
this
picture
card.
what it came from, it would help me.
Yeah. I have no clue where this thing came from.
It looks like it's a blister promo of some sort.
70 HP too. This thing's kind of soft.
It's a flow. Bro, Flabebe has like...
You can buddy pop him for this thing and put it on your bench.
It's buddy. Calm down. I remember that Froakie artwork. Noctowl Break, dude. What did this thing? It must have been a blister pack at the end.
I remember the Froakie as well.
Yeah.
Your opponent won't even care, bro. Yo, you're playing Floette. All right, you can buddy pop him for that. It's fine. Put it on the bench.
Floette blister. There it is. It is a Steam Siege blister pack.
Yeah, duh. Come on, Chip. Even I knew that.
You did not know that.
$35 right now to get one of these?
This one got chewed on by someone's dog.
Oh my gosh.
This is definitely water damage. Maybe. Actually, maybe not.
It looks like water damage. I think so. Oh, I don't know. Yeah, probably. It doesn't look chewed on because like the plastic stuff is like all fine.
Should we buy it and open this pack up to see what condition the cards are in inside?
No.
Oh, okay. I thought that would be like kind of a like funny little bit we could open up on the bonus episode or something, you know?
Did they explain in the description what the damage is from? Like, I'm curious.
Damage to the packaging from transport and storage. Possible discoloration due to prolonged sunlight exposure. Original factory seal remains intact.
Okay. Be okay then.
I feel like we should buy it and open it up on the bonus episode. You don't think that sounds like a fun idea?
I mean, it just I don't know why you're so this came out of nowhere. It's just like you're like, let's buy it.
I just like opening packs every once in a while, man. And if the podcast buys it, it doesn't really feel like I'm buying it. And I would never pay $35 for a Steam Siege pack.
A damaged Steam Siege blister pack. Or blister. One pack blister.
All right. Well, let's take a look at the Pittsburgh Regional Championships coming up this weekend. Probably the main reason a lot of people are hoping to listen this week. If you're heading to the tournament, best of luck to you. And yeah, let's give some takeaways and thoughts from this last weekend. And I think one of the first things that comes to mind is not looking at necessarily the decks that won, right? Gardevoir.
We should maybe just quickly start there. Like, I think, and I'm not a culprit, but not a victim. I'm like what's it called of this?
It's a safe space, Azul. If you're a victim, you can.
I'm a victim of Gardevoir. They just beat me every time, man. It's not fair. No, but like where I like underestimate how good Gardevoir might be right now, or like in a metagame or in a format. And I mean, I was disrespecting Gardevoir a little bit heading to this weekend when people would ask me about it. I'd be like, it seems like fine. Like my biggest thing that I was kind of hinging on was like, how popular was Charizard going to be? And it wasn't that popular. It was okay. It was like, as far as success go, it was like fine. But it's like it's still super scary to play Charizard right now. Golden Go feels like it has to be the deck to shut Gardevoir down, but maybe some more rare candies and some more Poltnors will be enough as well. But I think like you gotta like take Gardevoir seriously for sure. Going into this weekend, as far as I mean, the thing is though with Gardevoir, it's like tech conclusions don't really like if you're playing Golden Go, play Tool Scrapper. Like put your Tool Scrapper in, don't cut that thing. If you're playing Poltnor, you probably at least want to play one jamming tower. Like one of the changes I made to Tord's list was I cut one of the rare candy for a jamming tower, and it felt pretty good to have it in there when you run up against the Gardevoir, the Golden Goes, stuff like that. So pretty nice to have. So yeah, don't disrespect the Gardevoir. Play the Tool Scrapper in your Golden Go. Play at least one jamming tower probably in your Dragapult deck. And that is something we saw like in Tord's matches against Rune. If Tord, of course, he'd have to play the jamming tower and then he'd have to find it. But if those two things lined up, he would have won. I think the two games that he ended up, well, at least one of the games he ended up losing. Maybe both of them, to be honest, actually. But like, you probably want to play that. The Braver Charms are out there, whatever. But yeah, and then probably try to avoid playing a deck that's unfavored against Gardevoir as well. I mean, if you're already locked in on Raging Bolt, you're probably already playing it. But if you're like in between two decks, pick the deck that has the better Gardevoir matchup, probably. But yeah, I quickly get that out of the way as far as talking around the winning decks goes. That's probably just the biggest thing. Is just like don't disrespect it. If your goal is to try and,
I think we need to come together as a community to stand up against the Gardevoir players. Do not let Gardevoir. There's one objective this weekend. If you're going to Pittsburgh, and it is to not allow.
And this is the last tournament of this format as well. Like,
do not allow the Gardevoir players to win again.
Yeah, there's like handing out pitchforks or something like that, handing out tool scrappers and jamming towers to
It'll
players
be
as they
tough,
enter the
guys.
venue.
It'll be tough, but if we work together, we can ensure that Gardevoir does not win another major before it rotates.
I'm gonna put a chair in front of Henry Chow's hotel door in the morning. Well, I gotta,
No
well, I'm
one
gonna do our
gentleman's
part.
agreement with Henry Chow
Yeah.
anymore. Force the tie.
We
No,
have-
no,
yeah,
no, don't
we
do
have-
that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
No. Yeah, do whatever you want. Yeah, we have to come together as a community here to shut down Gardevoir. And a big part of that is shutting down Henry Chow. So but yeah, don't disrespect it. Play the jamming towers, play the scrappers, whatever it is you're playing. I mean, if you're playing Bolt, I mean, it's already too far gone at this point. You're cooked. So just lock in and hopefully you donk them or something.
One of my takeaways from this last weekend was if you have a deck that can, I would dust off the Shaman and put it in your deck.
I think there is a discussion to have around that for sure. I think that is like a big point to look at post tournament. It's kind of funny too, because like Gardevoir can play Shaman, and it's like not bad to play in Gardevoir, but it's still favored against Terra Box. You don't have to play Shaman; you're still just favored against Terra Box, which is kind of funny. But
Shaman's
yeah,
almost better against opposing Gardevoirs.
yeah, like it's almost better for the mirror match. But this is a situation where it's like, and I don't even know how true that is, to be honest. Though, like I'd have to like play more of that matchup. But like it's a Shaman with a Bravery Charm.
Yeah, if you're playing the
He's
3
not
Bravery
dying.
Charms, yeah.
You put a Shaman with a Bravery Charm on the bench, and then you get to Screamtail their Monkey Dories, and they can't get rid of yours. Like that sounds pretty good. Especially if you know they don't play Drifloon, you could sit there with one Gardevoir. You don't even need to put the second Gardevoir in play. But yeah, that is kind of a big dog. It's kind of like the Decidueye flowchart. Decidueye wins a tournament. People tech for Decidueye. Decidueye is terrible. Terra Box is pretty similar. Like if there's enough people playing Shamans in stuff like even Golden Go has a pretty bad Terra Box matchup, but I wonder how it would go if you played Shaman. Because one of their aggressive lines is to play through Water Pond, KO Double Gimmighoul. Another thing that's pretty good for that, as long as you don't lose your crystal, because if you can you want to keep your crystal for your Pikachu, so you can go Pikachu knockout into Crispin Pikachu knockout. But if you have Shaman to like take away the Water Pond line, maybe it allows you to a little bit more safely play through a baby Golden Go and set up your Togekiss. Like, so Shaman and Golden Go, maybe there's something there. I don't know if that's worth it for the Terra Box matchup. I've never played the matchup, but it seems like it could be something to consider. But it's like, okay, that's like the thing though, where it's like, well, if it's like, if everyone's like, oh yeah, we're all playing Shaman this weekend, it's like, okay, well, I'm not gonna play Terra Box. Well, it's like, well, if they're not gonna play Terra Box, why am I playing Shaman? And someone asked me that in my stream earlier, and I was like, well, the question you'd have to ask yourself is like whether or not you're scared of Terra Box would be like, or if you think Terra Box could succeed. The question was like, there's no way Terra Box will do good this weekend with how it did last weekend, right? And it's like, well, if you have to ask yourself, are you going to put Shaman in your Poltnor? And if you ask me that question, I would say no. And if you ask yourself that question, and you're like, no, all right, then who is actually going to play the Shaman? I don't know who actually would play the Shaman. I don't think I would. If I was playing a Poltnor or a Golden Go or a Gardevoir, although Gardevoir's already favored, so that's kind of like besides the point. But there's like some win percentage there, right? If you play up against Gardevoirs with Shaman, you're going to win less often as Terra Box.
So I would say it's probably pretty unlikely that anyone who before this weekend was planning to play Terra Box for Pittsburgh because they felt like it was a good play post Worlds, which I don't think is like unreasonable. And I think it's pretty evident that multiple people have come to that conclusion based on the results from this past weekend, right? Because it wasn't just like one big testing group playing Terra Box. There's a few people playing it, right? But
and succeeding.
So I don't think that anyone who had that thought process, which there's surely some of them out there, is going to change decks now last second with a week left just because Terra Box did really well. And also, I would probably say that a lot of the people who played Terra Box, who went to Monterrey, who have 1 week of turnaround time, are probably also not going to play a different deck. They are probably also going to still just play Terra Box, right? And then if there's anyone who's ever been on the fringe of like, oh, I like this deck, I've played this deck before, ooh, someone did really well with it recently, maybe it is a good time to play this deck again, they'll probably play Terra Box. And so I don't think it would be an unreasonable thing to play a Shaman in your deck if you could afford it, like a Charizard or in a Grimmsnarl, right? Decks that it can have other uses against like the Gardevoir matchup as well. It's like, and that's the thing about Shaman is it's not just a tech for Terra box. It is good in other places.
Yeah, I kind of like it in the Charizard actually. Now that you mentioned that, because you're already like giving up on the Pulp matchup anyways. All your other matchups are so good. Terra Box is a matchup where things can fall apart due to their Water Pawn. So
Or
I
if
kind
you're
of like
playing
that.
something like in Zoark, the bench space is probably kind of tough in that deck to commit to a Shaman, right? But maybe that's another
Yeah.
deck that could utilize it.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that one, but yeah, they're definitely not. That matchup might just be terrible because everyone has the Iron Leaves anyways. That
That's
Iron
fair,
Leaves,
yeah.
yeah, the Iron Leaves inclusion now just kind of makes that matchup awful, I would imagine. Which also makes things harder for Charizard. Like if they get the Water Pond for 2 into the Iron Leaves for 2, it starts to snowball pretty fast, I would imagine as well. So yeah, Charizard is definitely a deck where I could like see it. I said Gardevoir, you're already favored, so is it worth it? I don't know. Maybe you take that extra step for the mirror match because I think mirror match is going to be a little bit more not. It just feels like you have to be able to beat Gardevoir to win the tournament now. Whereas I felt like this weekend and at Worlds, it didn't really feel like you had to beat Gardevoir to win those tournaments. Obviously, it turned out you did have to beat Gardevoir to win this last weekend. A little bit less so at Frankfurt, I guess, because like Rune was um, kind of the one who pushed through with Gardevoir in the end. So there wasn't as many in Top Cup. But like at Monterrey, there was what 4 in top 8 or something ridiculous, right? So obviously you had to beat it there. So it does feel that way going to this weekend. It's a deck to beat. So if you're playing Gardevoir and you have to beat Gardevoir, checking for Gardevoir seems pretty good even as Gardevoir. And then I guess if you're playing the Shaman, you pick up the extra Terra Box matchup percentages as well. So I guess it's not terrible if you're really if it's that. Unless you have a better tech for Mirror. If you think you have a better tech than Shaman for Mirror, I would definitely play that instead. Whatever that might be. I don't know what it is. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's hard. It's like tough because then if we're assuming everyone thinks that way and everyone thinks that everyone's going to play Shaman, then no one's going to play Terra Box. Then you should have a Shaman in your deck as well, right? So I think some people will probably like you said. I think most people will stick with their Terra Box, but some people will abandon it last minute. The question is just like how many. I guess I think there'll definitely be a higher percentage of Shaman this weekend than last weekend for sure, and Terra Box will be less successful for sure. But I could still see some making their way to top cut as well,
Yeah.
breaking through. But
What do
we
you think about some of the other fringe decks that we talked about? So, like the Greninja that made top cut over in Frankfurt, the Conkeldurrs that we saw on stream over in Frankfurt as well, Iron Thorns, Ethan's Ho-Oh. What do we think of these decks? Do you think any of them will make a splash in Pittsburgh?
I'm not too sold on any of them to be honest.
It's been a couple tournaments in a row now that Ethan's Ho-Oh has gotten top 32. It got top 32 at Worlds and top 32 at Frankfurt.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not really sold on any of them to be honest. Maybe like the Greninja deck, I think there's a lot to the Greninja deck, so that one I think is pretty cool and has some depth to it that to be explored. I think Pult Blaziken going deep wouldn't be a surprise, but it definitely wouldn't be a deck I'd pick to win the tournament just because the Gardevoir matchup is so tough. So I guess like those would be my 2 of like the decks we saw kind of break out a little bit in these last couple tournaments. I don't have like yeah, I don't hold the like the Thorns deck in super high regards or anything like that. But the Ninja deck it might be worse than I think it is. But like from playing it, it feels like there's something there that to be explored. And then the Blaziken Dragapult deck, like it's just the Dragapult deck that feels like it has the best Golden Go matchup. And that's like a pretty good thing to have right now because Golden Go is still going to be really popular, whether it be whether you're going up against the Joltik build or the non-Joltik build. There's going to be a lot of Golden Go, so having that favorable matchup is pretty good as a Dragapult deck. So I don't think it'll go all the way though because I don't think it's not going to be able to take down the guard for sure. But
I don't think I would be surprised. This isn't really a fringe deck, but it's kind of, I don't know, it was 5% at Worlds. And it did pop up a little bit more this weekend, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Grimmsnarl have a good tournament this weekend. That's kind of my vibe right now. What do you think of that?
um, I don't know. The Golden Go matchup is just so terrible. But so this is like kind of true for this is like true for
What
Gardevoir.
won the last 2 tournaments?
Gardevoir.
Okay, and does it have a good Golden Go matchup?
It is unfavored. Yeah. That is fair. That is fair. And same thing with like Gardevoir is like it's similar to Grim, where it's like Grim and Gardevoir are both like it that more Golden Go players are switching to the Joltik build. So that's good for both of those decks, for sure. So it's a
Here's
little bit
another
positive
thing.
for Grim.
You should make the best decision you can based on like what you expect the metagame to be. But I mean, in reality, I mean, if you look at let's go to like Rune's tournament run, for example. He won the tournament with
It'd be funny if it was just all
Gardevoir.
It was all Dragapult. Just like
It's a
it's
lot
a
of
lot of Dragapult.
Dragapult
It's a lot of Dragapult.
and only 2 straight Golden Go, and then the 1 Golden Go Joltik, right?
Yeah.
So
So one
there's
oh, sorry, go ahead.
it's just like the in any tournament, there's like just so many different decks out there you could play against.
Yeah.
You should try to make calls based on like percentages and all that stuff, but also at the same time, like don't like let it bog you down too much is just what I would
Yeah,
say,
definitely.
because like at the end of the day, like I mean you could roll up to the tournament and play against 4 Flareon the first 4 rounds. Like that'll
Yeah.
happen to someone out there, 4 Flareon in day 1 or something like that.
Yeah, and we did
Probably Grant Manley whenever he plays Golden Go, but
and you did see that Rune. I mean, one of them was a Joltik Golden Go, which I think Gardevoir's probably favored against. But Rune beat 2 Golden Goes, non-Joltik,
Yep.
which I think is favored for Golden Go. But like Rune is, he's pretty good, right? He plays with a lot of really good players, so it's like it's the skill diff matters more than the deck, like the theoretical meta percentage, right? Or the matchup percentage for a matchup, right?
Yeah.
Being the better player, as long as you're playing a good deck, right? I think if Rune rolled up with Ancient Box, I don't think he's winning the tournament. Doesn't matter how good he is. But when you roll up with Gardevoir, even if it seems like you have some iffy matchups against popular decks, it's just like if he's the better player on average and plays well that day, that's all it's going to be. That's all it's going to matter in the end. So yeah, the skills, and that's what you want to see. You want to see the better players potentially truly only struggle in the bad matchups against the other really good players, right? And even then, put up as good of a fight as they possibly can in those situations. But you want to see, the Tords and stuff like that overcome what would be normally maybe a blowout for one side or the other when they play up against, the average opponent playing that deck. That shows that the skill expression and stuff is still very alive and well in the game.
All that to say, just like if you hear us talking about a deck and it's like, well, that's the deck that I wanted to play this weekend, just like don't overthink it. Don't be overly discouraged. We're still
It
just
doesn't.
kind of giving our thoughts and opinions on it. But like,
It's not that serious. And one thing like I've been saying at the end of the day is just play it. Just play like people ask me like how to like pick a deck, or I don't really like anything around. Just pick a good deck and try and play it well. Just try and play a good deck well, but don't think about it too much past don't overanalyze past just playing a good deck, right? That's like the big thing. At least be playing a good deck, then work on it from there.
any other takeaways for you heading into Pittsburgh this weekend from what we saw this past weekend?
No, I think that was mostly it. Yeah, there's the Shaman discussion around, or there's a Terror Box discussion around the Shaman, Terror Box / Shaman. Like, what do you do there? I'm a little bit in between. I lean towards just like if I was gonna roll up with like one of these stage 2 decks, I probably wouldn't play the Shaman. Golden Go would maybe be the deck I would play it in if I felt like had that big of a difference maker in that matchup. But that's like I said, I'm just untested in that. But I wouldn't like fault anyone for including the Shaman as well. Terror Box is still like if there's no Shaman in the format, or like what there was this last weekend, then Terror Box is like a pretty solid play for sure. But even then, I don't think Terror Box is like a ridiculously powerful play. Even like despite his success at Frankfurt and Monterrey, I'm sure some people were like undertested in that matchup, in those matchups, and a lot of really good players chose to play the decks as well. So that's definitely a factor for its like, success on top of seeming like a decent play. But you run those the regionals back again. I don't think like Terror Box ever has any more success than it did. Maybe it gets a little bit further in the bracket, but I don't know if they're ever winning any of the winning either of the tournaments either. Because even up against Dragapult without Shaman, like that matchup isn't like overwhelmingly favored for Terror Box or anything like that. So, yeah. I think, but yeah, and then yeah, don't don't disrespect Guardy. Play your tool scrappers and whatever it else might be. You pretty much you have to beat it to win the tournament. So gonna have to go through it.
Well, let's make some predictions for this coming weekend. One of the most unique decks to come out of the past weekend was Conkeldurr and Frankfurt. So, what do you think, Azul, this weekend in Pittsburgh will be the highest placing Conkeldurr?
Like I said, I don't think the deck is that good overall, despite its recent success. So I'm gonna go with a top 256 for the Durr.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think I'm also going to go with the top 256 here for the Conkeldurr. I would love to see someone do better than that with it. But I think it's pretty
I'm with
unlikely
you.
that someone will have seen it do well in Frankfurt and then just pick it up in the next week and then like take it to a top 32 or something like that, you know?
Yeah.
Um, but who knows? Maybe there is a Conkeldurr grinder out there who saw these tournament successes is going to be able to take one of these lists, adjust it just a little bit, and just has unlocked the secret key to what makes Conkeldurr work. I
Maybe.
hope that's the case. Next up is we'll pick a player to make cut.
I mean, I'm assuming he's going, and he's been on a heater. It'd be kind of disrespectful to not pick him at this point, so I'm gonna go with Henry Chow.
Boring pick.
You picked Tord last week.
So true. That's funny. Yeah. I mean, obviously Henry's a solid choice if he's available, right, to make top cut at any given tournament these days. But I think I'm gonna go with my boy Caleb Rogerson here, coming off of a top 8 in Monterrey. Caleb had a super good season last year, and I think he is super due. I think he's going to win a regionals this year. That's my prediction heading into the season. Is Caleb Rogerson is going to win a regionals this year, and it might be Pittsburgh. Who knows? So I'm going to pick my boy Caleb.
Feels like he's usually playing a deck that like can't win the tournament, kind of like when he played Terra Box and they were all playing Rabska and Gardevoir.
Yeah.
This time around he played Terra Box and they're all playing Gardevoir again. I feel like if he just lands on a deck that is like lined up to win the tournament a little bit better, then that's where he'll get his dub. I guess like the one time last season that that I can remember that he had it lined up super well, he lost to me in cut of Merida when we were both playing Maridon. But besides that one, yeah, it feels like he's always getting to cut. But it feels like the deck he is playing is like always. It's it's obviously a good deck and he goes far with it, but it's like, all right, are you really getting past this many Gardevoirs at this point? Probably not. Like, and in like the previous time, they literally had Rabska, which like made it impossible. So almost there. So it's like almost there. But yeah, he just needs to get the deck choice needs to be lined up just a little bit better, and he'll probably walk away with a dub.
Next prediction: how many Gardevoir will there be in cut?
Well, I think there should be a little bit more Gardevoir hate. Honestly, if more decks have Shaman, that takes away some like aggressive lines from Gardevoir, catching like lone Dracloaks or Pheasantippities at the end of the game with Screamtail. That is just something I didn't really like think about too much in terms of like, yeah, Gardevoir's getting a little bit collateraled by people adding Shaman to be scared of Terra Box. Not by like a whole ton, but it is something. So I'm gonna go with.
There was 2 in top cut in Frankfurt, 11 players, and then there was 4 in top cut of Monterrey, which was 8 players.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with because there'll definitely be. I'm gonna go with 2. I'm gonna go 2 Gardevoirs.
I'm going to stick with 3 here, and I'm thinking it's going to be probably like a 12-ish person cut. And I think 3 is a pretty reasonable number for that many people in cut.
Reasonable.
And then lastly, we're going to do one prediction for the Champions League this weekend. So we didn't talk about it too much, but there is a Champions League happening over in Japan. I think quite a few Western players are heading over there, so that'll be kind of fun to follow, see how they all do. Azul's going to be doing the co-stream for it, the watch party, so be sure to check that out for sure. And they're going to have the new set legal, Mega Evolution. So it'll be interesting to see what does well. We want to do the prediction of what will be the highest placing Mega Pokemon. And then, you know, I guess there's a chance that none make the top 16 or top 32, whatever data we get. So we wouldn't know for sure. I think there's a pretty decent shot we'll see a Mega Pokemon in the top 16, though.
Yeah, hopefully. And I think I mean, I'm gonna go with the kind of the obvious one, the one that I think will actually be in the top 16, and I'm just gonna go with Mega Gardevoir.
Boring.
You're like, and I'm gonna go with Megatord.
Megatord, my boy. No, I'm gonna go with a different Mega though. Can you guess what it's gonna be?
Lucario.
Mega Mawile EX.
Ooh, okay, that actually is a reasonable prediction. Actually, I don't hate that.
Dude, our Chaladon, best of 1. People like these simpler, more streamlined decks. Mawile's really good in our Chaladon, it seems like. So I'm gonna go with the Mega Mawile.
I actually don't hate that one. I don't hate that one at all. I think it'll be tough to beat Mega Gardevoir, but wish you the best of luck on this one, Chip.
All right, Azul, I think that's all we have this week. You got anything else you want to say to the people before we get over to our bonus episode?
Oh, send us out.
Thanks a bunch to everyone for listening, as always. And if you did enjoy, be sure to leave us a like, a review, rating, comment, and subscribe. Those things help us out a bunch, let more people to discover the podcast, and let us know that you're enjoying what we're doing over there. Be sure to check out our second channel, just at uncommon_energy on YouTube. We just posted a video yesterday. If you're listening to the podcast today, it came out. So be sure to go check it out, give it some love, and subscribe to see more casual gameplay and content from us there. And if you want to keep up to date with us, the best place to do it is over on Twitter. You can follow myself at Chip Ritchie, Azul at Azul_GG. You can also follow the podcast at uncommon_energy.
Yeah, appreciate the support as always, and we'll catch y'all next Wednesday, 7 a.m. Eastern.